As I stepped off the bus and onto the cracked asphalt of Highway 12, a gust of wind whipped my hair into a frenzy, momentarily blinding me to the desolate landscape that stretched out before me like a parched expanse of skin. The faded sign creaking in the distance read, "Welcome to Ashwood, population 2,417, in letters as worn as the town itself. Kaylin's voice cut through my reverie, and I turned to see her standing beside me, her eyes narrowed against the wind. Her dark hair was pulled back into a tight ponytail, revealing angular features that seemed chiseled from the same rugged stone as the mountains looming in the distance. "What do you think it'll be like?" Kaylin asked, her voice barely audible over the howling wind. I shook my head, feeling a shiver run down my spine. "No idea," I replied, shouldering my backpack and scanning our surroundings for any sign of life. The bus had dropped us off in the middle of nowhere, with no apparent town or village in sight. Ashwood's outskirts seemed to stretch on forever, a seemingly endless expanse of empty fields and abandoned buildings that whispered tales of decline and neglect. As we trudged forward, our boots kicking up dust and debris, I couldn't shake the feeling that we were walking into a trap. Something about this place felt off, like the very air itself was heavy with unspoken secrets and hidden dangers. The wind died down as we entered Ashwood's outskirts, replaced by an oppressive silence that seemed to cling to us like a damp shroud. Kaylin shot me a wary glance, but I just shrugged and kept walking. We passed rows of boarded-up storefronts and crumbling houses, their windows shattered or sealed with rusty metal grates. The streets were empty, save for the occasional flicker of light emanating from a single street lamp or abandoned vehicle. As we turned onto Main Street, a chill ran down my spine, not just from the wind or the cold darkness that seemed to seep from every stone and brick, but from something deeper and more sinister. Something that whispered in the shadows, urging me to turn back while there was still time. I glanced at Kaylin, who stood transfixed by a dilapidated diner across the street, its faded sign reading, "Ashwood Diner, open 24/7. But as I watched, her eyes seemed to glaze over, her gaze drifting into some far-off place that I couldn't quite see. "What is it?" I asked, my voice barely above a whisper. Kaylin's eyes snapped back into focus, and she turned to me with a look of dazed confusion. "What?" I shook my head. "Never mind." We stood there for what felt like an eternity, the silence between us growing thicker than the shadows that seemed to writhe across the walls. Then, without warning, Kaylin took off towards the diner, her footsteps echoing through the stillness with a haunting, almost otherworldly quality. I hesitated, my heart pounding in my chest as I watched her vanish into the darkness. Something inside me screamed for me to follow, but something else whispered that we should turn back, before it was too late.